Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I wanted to talk about Michael Jordan selling the Charlotte Hornets because this is definitely interesting. There's been rumors going around that like he sold the team to pay off his, he basically sold the team to the people that he owed money to pay off his gambling debts. Now I don't know how true that is, but that's just a rumor that's going around. Rumors are that he owed like upwards of $1 billion. Now this is just a rumor. I can't confirm this, but that's like what rumblings have been. But it's pretty sad because when Michael Jordan initially bought the Charlotte Hornets, I thought this is going to be fucking great. Like they were a bad team for most of my childhood. The only notable player they really had was like Baron Davis. And as time went on, they eventually got Chris Paul, and the Hornets have just been a bad team for most of my life. I don't think they've even made the playoffs one time in my entire lifespan. There was a time when they had, I think, J.R. Smith, Chris Paul, Tyson Chandler, David West. There was a time where they had like good players on their team, but they were never really a playoff team. And it's sad to me to think that I was so excited at like when I was younger that Michael Jordan bought this team because I was thinking he dominated the league as a player. Now he's going to dominate the league as an owner, right? That was my initial thought. And in all those years that he owned the Charlotte Hornets, he just made terrible signings, interfered in things that he shouldn't be interfering with. He was the owner, GM, I think, and the president of like basketball operations for the Hornets for a while. And the best moves he made as an owner or slash GM or a guy who was just involved in things was drafting LaMelo Ball, drafting Mark Williams, and drafting Brandon Miller. And it's sad to think like that's his legacy. That's Michael Jordan's legacy as an owner, is being known as a guy who just, you know, was interfering in shit that he probably shouldn't be, getting involved in things that he shouldn't be. Like, in sports, especially with, like, football and basketball, sometimes there's owners who just get too involved. Like, they're too involved in shit that goes on. Michael Jordan was one of those owners. He was borderline as bad as James Dolan. And I can't believe I'm saying that as a Knicks fan, but he was arguably that bad. He just constantly got involved in shit that he shouldn't have been involved in. You know, basically making the GM's moves for him. You know, whoever the GM was, it was like he was just saying, this is the guy you're going to sign. This is how much money you're going to sign for. And they just, for a long time, they just made really, really bad moves. They signed Gordon Hayward to a contract that they shouldn't have. Terry Rozier was another guy that it's just, they have a bunch of bad contracts on their team. Now, I don't know if that's entirely the fault of Michael Jordan, but it just seemed like he could never find a competent general manager. And I feel like part of the reason he could never find a competent general manager is because he never let anybody actually be a general manager. So he sold the team. Granted, it made Michael Jordan a whole hell of a lot more richer, but I'm kind of glad that he sold the team to somebody else because hopefully Charlotte can have some success now. We've seen Brandon Miller do his thing in Summer League. He looks like he's going to be very good. I think Brandon Miller is going to be better than a lot of people think. I know there's people out there comparing him to Jason Tatum. I've talked to people who don't think he's really that good, but I tend to think he is. I think Brandon Miller is going to be great. You know, they just signed LaMelo Ball to 5 years, $260 million. They have Mark Williams, who looks like he's going to be promising. Mark Williams has not been great, but Mark Williams has had flashes, you know, where it's like, okay, there's definitely something there. Has he been as good as Jalen Duren? No. But he has had some games where it's like he gets 14 points, 17 boards, or 17 points and 14 boards, and so on and so forth. So there's some promise there, at least, with the young talent that's there in Charlotte. But This is a team that I think really needs to just rebuild its roster in a way. I really hope that the new owners that come in are dedicated to winning, because it seemed like for a long time the Hornets weren't. And even with Michael Jordan as their owner, I understand they're not a hot free agency destination, even though, you know, they have good players. They have LaMelo Ball on their team. Like, they have a good young core going on now, I think, with Mark Williams, LaMelo Ball, and Brandon Miller. I think there's some hope there. I'm hoping to see maybe James Bouknight maybe get some minutes. It's just like their team is really, really weird. It seems like they never get any, like, even the free agents they can sign, like the minimum guys or like the lower tier guys. It's like Kelly Oubre is the guy they go after. You know what I'm saying? Gordon Hayward at the time was a big signing for them. Don't get me wrong. When they did sign Gordon Hayward, it's like, wow, they got Gordon Hayward. But the thing is, Gordon Hayward never plays. Like, he's injured all the time. And the idea that he, like, I remember when they signed Gordon Hayward to that contract, if I'm correct, Gordon Hayward just had like a really, really bad injury, like an injury that ended his entire season. So the idea that they offered him a max deal was shocking to me, because I was like, okay, like they're making an attempt to go in all in on a guy. But it's just the idea, once Gordon Hayward's contract is over this upcoming offseason, and I think Terry Rozier is up, like, if Charlotte could just trade Terry Rozier, let Gordon Hayward ride it out to the end of the year, because I don't think they're going to trade him. Kelly Oubre is another guy, just like let him go. And just play for draft picks. Like, this is a team that should be tanking. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, but this is a team that should be playing for fucking losses. They're a team that really needs something else. It would be nice if they could find a young 4 or a young 3. I feel like they've maybe found that in Brandon Miller. I don't know if he's going to play the 2 or the 3 for the Charlotte Hornets, but this is a team that, now that they have new owners, I hope the new owners are at least aggressive in a way. Like, I hope they at least want to win. You know, we saw what happened with the Phoenix Suns, where they, you know, Robert Sarver sold the team, and now all of a sudden it's like, now they have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, you know, they have Kevin Durant, they still have DeAndre Ayton. Like, it's amazing how much a new owner can really change the culture of a team. And even with Washington, like, Washington didn't change owners, but they got a new GM. You know, they got a new president of basketball operations and stuff like that going on over there. Changes like this are necessary for teams that are this bad. You know, when it comes to teams like the Hornets and the Wizards, some of the moves that they've made have needed to be done for a long time. I thought Michael Jordan should have sold the Hornets a long time ago, just because it was obvious he was just an overbearing owner. Like, you know, it was obvious that he was trying to Jerry Jones his way into winning a fucking championship, and it didn't happen. You know, same thing with the Wizards. They're in a situation also where it's like they had the same GM or the same president of basketball operations for 15 fucking years and never once won a title. It's like, how long are you going to continue to run this route before you decide to do something different? And you know what? I'm hopeful for the Charlotte Hornets. I am. I think they're going to be a better basketball team now. I'm hoping the owners of this team now at least allow the GM to do their job and not interfere with things. You know, I'm not saying that owners shouldn't ever have input on, like, maybe players that they want, or, you know, rookies that they want, or draft prospects and stuff like that. I'm not saying owners shouldn't ever have a say, but there are some owners who are too involved. You know, your James Dolans of the world, your Michael Jordans of the world. Like, there are certain owners that are just too involved in things and oftentimes end up fucking things up because they want to be involved in things. I would even say, like, Mark Cuban, to an extent, with the Dallas Mavericks, is a little too involved sometimes. You know, like, I just think if you're the owner of a team, it's like, if you want to win, sometimes you just got to let the people you hired do their job. And Michael Jordan was not a guy that was going to do that. He was not going to let you just draft any old prospect. He wasn't going to let you just sign any old free agent. You know, it just, to me, I just think to myself, like, At that point, you're not letting the GM do their job. What you're doing is hiring a guy and holding his fucking hand the entire time and saying, this is what you're gonna do because I said so, when they probably know a lot better than you do. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm glad the Charlotte Hornets have a new ownership group. It's more than one person. It's not just one person. So I'm glad that, you know, the Charlotte Hornets have new owners, and hopefully they just let the GM do his job. Hopefully they can get off some of the bad contracts they have in Terry Rozier and maybe even Gordon Hayward, depending on where they can maybe trade Gordon Hayward to. I'm not sure. But I have an odd feeling Gordon Hayward's going to be on that roster until the end of this upcoming season because he's injured all the time. So nobody's going to really want to trade for him, especially when they can probably get him in free agency this upcoming summer for nothing, you know, like for a vet minimum deal or way less than what he's making now. So I don't know, man. You know what? I'm hopeful, and I hope Charlotte turns things around. So tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.